My fellow reefers, I am back with a major tank update on my Waterbox 220-gallon reef tank. There has been a big mystery going on with my tank the past few weeks, and it's been driving me absolutely crazy trying to solve it. Hopefully you guys can help me figure it out and solve whatever the heck is wrong. But before we get into all of it, I have some exciting news to share. We got new fishies in the observation tank. Yes, that's right. Finally have some new fish. You know, my tank is quite empty in that regard. I have a whole whopping 220 gallons to work with and not nearly as many fish as I'd like. I currently have 2 clownfish, a cardinal fish, a yellow watchman goby who is actually not even yellow anymore because it turned into a female, but hey, a Tamini tang, an itty bitty little filefish, a royal grandma, 1 fox face, and a powder blue tang. You know, it sounds like a lot when I list it all out like that, but this tank could really use some more. I mean, keeping up nutrients in this tank has been quite hard. I have to feed multiple times a day to even get close to normal levels, and even doing that has been really difficult. I even tossed up dosing just straight nitrate for a while to get my nutrients up, you know? It was that bad. So it's been really rough, and I just really want a self-containing bioload, you know? I mean, is that too much to ask for? The perfect amount of fish poop to just balance everything out? I mean, yeah, that would be really nice. So adding more fish to the tank has definitely been one of my top priorities recently. I have several fish that I have been thinking about adding, but for me, the top of my list is adding a group of anthias. I love anthias because first off, they're just absolutely gorgeous. You know, their bright coloration really adds a big pop of color into the tank, and I love how they're just like full of energy and swim all over your tank. I mean, they're really just nice fish. I really wanted to add lyre-tail anthias in particular, so when I saw these 2 at my local fish store, I just had to take the plunge, y'all. I mean, I plan to get more lyre-tails though because I want a harem of them, which is just 1 male anthia and multiple females, because, you know, anytime you add a group of female anthias together, one will turn into a male. So they will go from looking like these guys, which are currently females, to like this bright purple fish with a big extending spike on their dorsal fin. It is actually quite beautiful, honestly. But aside from just wanting a male lyre-tail in general, making a harem is better because the male will turn brighter and more colorful the more females that are in the tank with him, you know, so he can show off and, you know, be impressive to them. Yeah. So it seems like this guy here is showing some signs of starting to turn into a male, actually. Well, like the very beginning stages of the transformation, but it is starting. She, or he, I guess I should say, has been more aggressive and just generally more dominant over the other one. Also, it stays out more in the open than the other one and beginning to be more hyper, you know, and male anthias tend to be quite hyper. So it's beginning, y'all. It's actually beginning. So over the next few weeks, what's gonna happen is the front spine of his dorsal fin will become slightly, you know, more elongated. And then finally after that, his coloration will begin to turn from this orange to like a red. So I'm really excited to witness the stages and see how this little guy evolves because I've only ever bought males in the past, so it will be pretty neat to see these changes as they happen. But yeah, I obviously want to add more lyre-tails to form a proper harem. I'm planning on adding 3 or more lyre-tails with these guys to create like a large group of them, you know? They'll be really beautiful because they'll swim together for the most part, and with all those colors, it will be amazing. In terms of other future fish, other than lyre-tails that I would like to add, add? I am not really sure yet. It's kind of difficult because I decided on a whim to add, you know, a massive powder blue tang, and its aggression, particularly to other tangs and fish that look similar to him, makes it kind of difficult to add new additions into the tank. I'll have to look at getting like really young, small fish in order to get past that, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think I should get fish-wise and what tips y'all have for introducing new fishies with the monster of a powder blue that I currently have, because I really wouldn't mind adding like a little baby blue tang, honestly, but I don't know if I'm just pushing it or what. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Anyway, you might be asking why I'm not quarantining my fish and I'm just placing them in an observation tank. Well, first, I really took a look at these guys in the store before I bought them. You know, I wouldn't ever buy a fish that I suspected of having an illness, or if any of the other fish in the same system that my desired fish was in was sick. Plus, I personally feel like I don't want to put my fish under any unnecessary stress. You know, if the fish shows signs of a disease or illness when it's in the observation tank, okay, no problem. You know, I can treat that. So keeping them under observation seems like the best fit for me, honestly. Plus, I just don't really want to go through that like rigorous quarantine process if that's like not necessary, you know what I mean? But for the most part, these anthias have been swimming and eating well. However, they've been having a bit of a little bit of stringy poos. So yeah, I'm gonna have to start treating for that. Stringy poos are a possible sign of intestinal parasites, unfortunately. So using C-Chem Metroplex and Focus and just mixing it all in with the food should fix that all up. They're both products that help with like pesky internal infections, so it should help them get better. But I won't be adding these guys in the tank until the issue is resolved, obviously, but hopefully should clear up fairly quickly. I'm really happy about these new additions though. I've wanted new fish for forever. So these are very exciting times, I must say. And in other somewhat related news, I've been doing a darn good job feeding 4 times a day, I must say. My nutrients that were struggling to be kept up to level are finally up to speed. So up to speed, in fact, that my nitrate has been up to 11 and my phosphate at 0.04. Big improvement, I know. So I've been thinking that it's finally time to set up a refugium again. You know, if you guys are old timers to this channel, you may remember that I had my refugium prematurely set up in the past. I don't know why I set it up then when I didn't need it, but alas, I used my old Kessel 360X light I had laying around in the garage and a little gooseneck attachment I bought for it. So if I were to set up a refugium up again, I would just replicate this. However, there is no earthly way that this can be done right now without sadly removing my beloved cryptic refugium section that's currently occupying the same space. It's now become home to my beloved sponges, and you can't have sponges in the same spot as macroalgae, like a macroalgae refugium, because sponges need ambient low to no light versus macroalgae which need really high light. So I have no idea what to do because I have no more compartments in my sump. You know, I would put them in the filter sock area just because I hate my filter socks and I don't use them, but I would have to find a way to wall it off somehow, because if any of the micro bubbles coming down from the return, you know, they could become trapped in the sponge and then the sponge will die, which obviously is not wanted. And there's no room in the return pump section because that's where my bio bricks are. So I don't have any earthly idea about what to do in terms of setting up a refugium. My sump is really hard to modify because it's glass, so that kind of sucks. Not sure what to do because I guess if I had to pick one, I would pick having the macroalgae. But the benefits of the sponges constantly filtering and clarifying the water for me, I mean, that's kind of hard to give up too, you know? I don't know. What do y'all think? How can I modify my sump, or which one should I pick, macroalgae or cryptic? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Now, moving on to one of the mysteries that has been going on with my tank, bacteria blooms. Yep, I have been getting back-to-back bacteria blooms. No idea why either. Bacteria blooms are basically an over excess of carbon or carbohydrates in the water. It makes your tank water really cloudy and makes your corals very angry. The first time this happened, I made the rookie mistake of spraying some air freshener in the adjoining room, thinking that it would be too far away to affect the tank. Well, I was wrong, clearly, because boom, bacteria bloom. Quickly fixed the mistake by reconnecting my UV sterilizer. So cool, okay, problem solved. Wrong. Despite not spraying anything or lighting any candles, nada, nothing, I kept getting back-to-back bacteria blooms and it's driving me nuts. It must be something that's spraying in the air or some kind of, I don't even know. I have no idea what. So it still remains a big mystery why this keeps happening. Honestly thinking just to attach the UV sterilizer on this tank permanently because I am sick of these freaking bacteria blooms, y'all. I don't know. Bacteria blooms just suck. So now that I've taken off the UV sterilizer, again, hopefully this is the last time this happens because I cannot think of what could be causing this. We shall see. I will have to report back on that one. And yet another one of the mysteries that has been going on with my tank. What in the world has happened to my Duncan coral? It hasn't opened in a week now and I'm not really sure why. There's no brown jelly or any kind of infection on it, which is good, but it's definitely mad about something. There is another mega colony of Duncan behind this aquascape that's open and happy and chilling, so the chalice is stinging it. This chalice is stinging it with its sweeper tentacles. And you know, if that's the case, Lord only knows where I'm gonna put this thing because I have no Duncan appropriate spots left, honestly. And Duncans are not my favorite corals of corals, so it might just end up, you know, at the back of the aquascape hidden from sight with the other Duncan. But another possibility about why the Duncan is closed possibly lies in the water I make for my water changes, which has been giving me a world of problems recently and a whole extra mystery that I've been worrying about currently. Basically, I have a sneaky suspicion that the water plant in my area may have flushed the system. Water plants do this every so often to, you know, clear out the junk from the pipes, the buildup, and I wish my city would warn us before they do this, but unfortunately here in Texas, they don't care. So I found out when I was overdue for a water change. My TDS meter on my RDI unit still read at 0, so I thought, oh, okay, all is good, let's do it. You know, let's get to it. This is a standard water change, thought nothing of it. So I did a 25% water change and the corals were not looking so good. I mean, you know how after you do a water change, everything in your tank just gets really happy? You know, like polyps are all out and everything's fluffy and everything's just happy. You know, I mean, that's why we do the water changes to begin with, right? Well, after this water change, everything just looked worse. So I could only assume that I was having problems with my source water. I will spark a new fear into you today, fellow reefers. In case you didn't already know, unfortunately, RDI units cannot pick up whether your water plant flushes the system. Your TDS meter will still read at 0 and all will appear good, but the water, in fact, is not good. It's not good. That's because RDI units don't detect chlorine or chloramide that water plants use when they're flushing the system. RDI units only detect solids like sodium that dissolve in water. Yep, new fear unlocked in you, my friend. Basically, I just dumped a whole bunch of chlorine in my tank. Yay. Yay, this is wonderful. So my corals have not been overall feeling their best. However, I have since changed my RDI filters, which is really annoying because I just changed them. Hopefully we can get things back on track quickly. At least, hopefully, that's one mystery solved, right? So yeah, that's what's been going on with my tank, guys. Aside from the lovely new anthias in the quarantine tank, nothing but mysteries and problems. Hopefully I can resolve these issues soon and get the tank back on track and thriving again. Let me know in the comments if you have any advice or solutions. Those are always appreciated. Y'all think of things that I never thought to think about and I love it. Make sure to hit like on this video and subscribe on your way out. It helps the YouTube algorithm gods notice me, so it's very much appreciated. Got to appease those YouTube gods, you know? Yeah.